to Heart of the Holt. This is the Villa Filler podcast. A bit of a different format, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I'm very excited indeed.
I'm with my good friend Dan Wiseman. You've probably seen Dan's face on the intro of the YouTube videos and on the Burke Beyond.
Yeah, a few other ones. I managed to keep pretty quiet.
That was that's when the love affair started, really.
Oh mate, let's not even. It's funny enough. I was thinking about that. He's back for Derby. I couldn't be more excited.
I'm so happy because, I'll be honest, and he's so key to the way we play, isn't he?
Yeah, first of all, one of the things I want to say in this podcast, and we've started on a good note for it, is that I was really impressed with Conor Horan against Bolton.
Really?
Yeah, I think I think BB, as he's very affectionately named, yeah, that's one of my favourite things, is definitely the right player for the system, and I'm so happy because I think me and you both had a meltdown in the summer when he was going to go and leave, and the same thing is you can understand it because he just didn't compliment the style of play. Bruce didn't seem to have any love for him whatsoever. I'm really happy that BB's found a place. I thought Horan stepped up alright the other night. Thought he was alright, but yeah, as I said, I'm excited to see him back in the team for Derby, hopefully. I
saw a lot of buzz about Horan, certainly from the club's social media as well. I thought it was an average performance, but I don't want to be overly critical because it's a position he's not familiar with. He's a goal scoring midfielder, and maybe against the Leeds or someone else, them kind of games is where he may get found out or punished. Completed a lot of passes in that position though, so I can't really complain too much about Horan, I don't think. But be honest, I'm back in the team for Derby. It's what we'll need. Going to have to fight fire with fire, really. Smith and Lampard both like to play some fluid attacking football. I'm not looking forward to this one, mate.
No, I'm not in this of your position. I'm going to say fortunately I won't be there because I think these kind of big away games I always get terrified for, and I think it's probably because of the away when we had in the whole relegation in our first season in the Championship where we couldn't win away for love nor money. But Derby have been playing some really nice stuff. I think they've come to the forefront. Everyone, they're the Championship team. People want to watch because of what they did to United and Chelsea in the cup. Got them a lot of publicity, and I think it's good that Lampard's succeeding. But I think it's going to make for a tough game for us. Yeah,
Derby though aren't without their own faults. They've conceded 3 own goals in 3 games. Obviously 2 against Chelsea and Borough, which was on TV. Do you think with the new the Dean Smith way, the pressing, that we can force a mistake out of I don't want to say inexperienced Derby back line, but one that's been under pressure recently?
No one in this league is invincible. Certainly no one's bulletproof, and I think if we go in with the right tactics, I feel like this is the one thing that I've been very encouraged by the Smith era, is that I feel like at some point it's just going to take off. I feel like in the last few games we've seen glimpses. I think in Bolton, I feel like against the poor side at home, it's started to come through more. But I feel like there is going to be a moment in hopefully the not too distant future where it just kicks off. And I think Derby have got their weaknesses, and it's a big stage. I don't think we can rule anything out at this point because it would be typical for Villa, as we went there last season, performed poorly. But it'd be a Villa thing to do, wouldn't it, to go up and put a performance in. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Derby are there to be punished. As I said, no one in this league is. We saw last season, what we did to the likes of Wolves. That you can be the best team in this league, but anyone on their day is capable of beating anyone. I think this Derby back line certainly, as you said, looked shaky in places, and with the right players, the right system, I feel like there's definitely some scope there.
I'm still having flashbacks from that awful Glenn Whelan.
Oh, as soon as I mentioned that game, I was thinking, Christ.
Andreas White, obviously not there anymore at Bristol City, but it will be a tough game, and the past few games, actually, people who sit behind us at Villa Park and the people who I've been sat around at QPR and stuff, when I went to QPR, have all been saying, Grealish needed a tactical foul in one of the games before so as he could miss Derby and be fine for the Blues game, and we can't play Jack Grealish on the Derby game because he's got to be fit for Blues. What a load of crap,
mate. The stick that Grealish has been getting, I thought he performed very well against Bolton, but before this is, I was saying it to you earlier, it's a similar sort of thing with what happened with Chester. Is I think we were really blinded by what were poor performances, and Grealish had been subpar, I have to admit, but at the end of the day, mate, he's class. He's so good to watch. I thought he was fantastic against Bolton. I feel like the criticism that Grealish got was so undeserved. I think Callum O'Hare is a good prospect in his own right, but saying that we should have dropped Grealish and put in a player who's barely played 10 minutes for the Villa first team is a joke. This lad is our best player. He's our most well-known player, our most loved player, and to say he should have been dropped was ridiculous. And I think even in any circumstances, saying that we should drop him so he's fit for the Blues game or because he hasn't been playing or whatever the reason, this lad's the first name on the team sheet week in, week out for me, and I hope that a lot of Villa fans will feel the same after the performance against Bolton.
Definitely. I think getting back to his former self at QPR as well, I thought he really dictated that game, and I've heard QPR fans even say, God, that Jack Grealish kid is the real deal. And a lot of people get carried away with the fact that he's only got 1 goal and 2 assists so far this season, but there's so much more to Grealish's game than goals and assists. And I saw a stat, I think Heart of the Holt actually retweeted it on Twitter. He's got the highest, there we go, followers at Heart of the Holt. The highest passing accuracy in the Championship, Jack Grealish, something like over 78%.
I think
playing under Bruce as well, on the wing.
This is what I mean, mate. I think football nowadays, I think this is a problem with football generally, is that statistically we've become drowned in statistics, and we judge a player by goals, assists, percentages, and I feel like you need to take a step back from that sometimes, because there's so much that Grealish does that goes under the radar. And even aside from his performance, I feel like we're always better for having Grealish in the team. I feel like taking everything, if you strip it down to the bare bones, having a local lad, a fan, an academy prospect in the team is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. When he can perform like Jack Grealish can, he should be in there every single week.
Of course, and there'll always be talk about Callum O'Hare. He's been dubbed to be the next Grealish, whether that's because of his haircut or performances, we won't know. Scored a fantastic goal even night as well. Well, it wasn't actually given. Did you see?
I saw it. Yeah, I thought that's what highlights.
He's going to be a good player someday, but as you say, I think I recall to the Peterborough game last year, saying to my dad, "Look, this kid's the real deal." I've watched him a fair bit for the under-23s at Walsall. This kid he's going to impress, and he didn't really leave a very good impression. Not many people did in that game, they really did though.
No, I think, and this is what I mean. I think we have to give a lot of our youth. I think the difference between Callum O'Hare and Jack Grealish is I think that Callum O'Hare, is finally starting to come to the forefront. It's taken, but I knew about Jack Grealish from when he was 15, 16. Everyone did. I remember that one year he went to the Hong Kong Soccer Sevens and ripped it up, mate. Ripped it up. Everyone knew about Jack Grealish, and with no disrespect to Callum O'Hare, because as you know, I'm all for promoting youngsters, but Grealish's potential was there from the start. It was always evident, and Callum O'Hare, I'd like to see him being introduced, but it's got to be under the right circumstances. And that Peterborough game was a shame because it was marred by, obviously a terrible defeat. But I'd like to see him given his chance. But as I was saying, if it's at the expense of Jack Grealish, I don't think it's the right time.
I think we've got to consider these things as well. Under Steve Bruce, I'd be really interested in actually hearing what Bruce said to the team at half time, because everyone talks about how much of a man motivator he is, a man manager, but for what's Bruce going to do for young Callum O'Hare going forwards? He can't. I don't see Bruce giving him that much insight into how to develop his game, and Mark, I got the name slipped now, under 23. The under 23 coaches, Kevin McDonald, they've all, they're doing something right with these lads, but it's about making a step up, because I would go as far as saying that that Callum O'Hare is too good for the under 23s, but nowhere near the quality of a side that's looking to promote.
How many players have we seen like that? Callum Robinson. There are certain, Daniel Johnson is another one. So many players that we've seen that are just in that divide between being first team quality and being reserve level quality. And so many have never worked out, and that for me is why it's so refreshing to see Grealish. This is the thing. I think for lads like Callum O'Hare didn't really get their chances, but it's refreshing to see Lansbury Your chance, Bree.
Yeah.
A good performance from him for the under-23s as
2
well.
headers.
Who'd have thought
From
it?
the little lad.
Who'd have thought it? And so this is, I think, the fringe players, and I think this is, we spoke about this on the podcast when Bruce was sacked. New manager, it's a fresh start for everyone in the squad. No one's got a right to be in that first team. And so it's exciting for these fringe players. I think they will get their opportunities, but as I said, I think it's got to be in the right system at the right time.
I think one thing that we should talk about is the appointment of the new goalkeeper coach, Neil Cutler. While I was waiting to pick you up, actually, I was watching the interview, and the resemblance between these two are uncanny. I actually think this guy's your father. You're going to have some conversations with your mum. But poached him from West Brom. I think he'd been on our books before. Have you watched the interview, David?
Not yet, no. I think I spoke to when he was first appointed. It was the day of the Bolton game, and I spoke to Dean Smith after the game, and I spoke to him about that. He seemed really excited by it. I think they're good pals from their time at Walsall. And I think this is something that we can be excited by because Dean certainly is. So
yeah, it's something that in the interview, if you've not seen, I'd encourage you all to check it out. Speaking about, I've just never heard anyone speak about goalkeeping in such an interesting way, and the tactics and what they were working on. I mean, you probably know as a goalkeeper yourself, but I just found it fascinating. He said that he has the lads in all before everyone else, has them training on the ball, wants to get fast transitions started, which they're key to how Dean Smith wants us to play, really, isn't it? It's building from the back.
Yeah, I think goalkeeping is a position which I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions on, but I think very few actually understand how difficult it is to be a successful goalkeeper, because it's the most important position on the pitch. It really is. And I think I really do stick by Nyland. I know that I'll probably get a lot of stick for saying it, but I think it's there. It's raw. It's rough around the edges, but he has made some really big saves.
He's a shot stopper.
He really is. And I think no goalkeeper is perfect, and he makes some mistakes which I do find difficult to defend. Just basics, catching crosses. And there are moments like that where he has moments of madness, but this is what I'm saying, a new goalkeeper coach is the right approach, because I feel like under Bruce it would have been new goalkeeper in January. But I like the idea that we're trying a new coach, trying to educate, because Nyland is definitely a good goalkeeper. He really, as I said, he's a shot stopper. He's got some, and I think if Neil can come in and get him playing the right way, and coach a mentality, which, as you said, seems very interesting, it could be good for that.
Do you reckon he could improve Mark Bunn?
Oh, I think...
Or ruin his head?
That is something that even he might not be able to do.
It's interesting, the goalkeeper situation, because you can look at it that we've got 4 goalkeepers in Nyland, Moreira on loan, which seems like we've only signed him to model the merch. Mark Bunn, who's just the banter lad, and Mateo Sarkic, who doesn't seem to be getting much of a look in. Do you think the goalkeeping position is somewhere? I know you've said obviously we've brought the coach in to hopefully not go out and replace in January, but I can't help but feel like Smith will be looking for the next Aston Villa goalkeeper in January.
Absolutely, I think at the end of the day, and this is right, no one's with a new manager, no one's position is secure, and I think that there are positions where a lot of people want to strengthen a lot and certainly bring in players. I think the way that Nyland's been performing, he certainly won't be sleeping sound, because he will have one over his shoulder. At least not on Moreira. People coming in January, and I think, but it's going to be something that Bruce brought him in. I feel like under the new regime he struggled, but I feel like Smith is going to have his eye on a lot of positions in January. I really see us going out and splashing, and I think no one's safe.
I think in terms of January sales as well, I was saying this to a lad who I was with earlier, actually from uni, who's a Villa fan. I only found out today. Don't know his name. I'm sorry if you're watching this, mate. You're a nice guy. I can't help but feel that Jonathan Kodja will be gone. Maybe even Conor Hourihane, because you got to think of players who are going to get big fees, and if we are buying in January, which it seems like the funds have been allocated, we've got to cover FFP.
Yeah, this is the thing. I feel like
preparing for the future.
The last 6 months have been crazy. I feel like with everything that's gone on, we've lost sight of the impending doom that FFP supposedly is. It's still very much a thing. I think the appointment of Purslow at the time and his business history, and I feel like Pitt Arch as well, who, you know, when you look at the transfer dealings he's been involved in, really seen two sides of the coin. Was loved at Atletico for, you know, the likes of Aguero, Forlan, hated at Valencia because he got rid of the likes of Mustafi, which may have been a blessing, and so it's good. We're looking at it from a business orientated point of view, and I feel like the attempt were there to generate the money through sponsorships. I haven't really seen too much coming in terms of that so far, but
Drive Time's coming back on the Aston Villa YouTube channel, guys.
oh, is it? I think
anything's possible. It was sponsored by Fiat.
Do you remember the advert with them all heading the ball into the
that was terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, really interesting in the January window. I want to see, you know, obviously we've had the obvious links with Brentford players, which, you know, is always going to happen because he's got a history of bringing a lot of players. You know, he brought a lot of players from Warsaw to Brentford, the likes of Rico Henry, Sawyers. And I think
one I wouldn't mind seeing it.
this is the thing, is that there are some really interesting players, and I think Kodja played on the left, you know, a few times. He's been swapping wings with Adoma. I feel like Tammy's definitely going to be the striker for this season. He's someone that I like. I'm confident in Tammy to score the goals. I feel like Kodj has even been preferred to Hogan when coming off the bench. He seems to turn to Hogan before he turns to Kodja in terms of substitutes. So it's going to be interesting. I think, you know, the likes of Ollie Watkins.
I would love to see him down Villa.
This is going to be interesting because, you know, obviously Kodja is a fan's favourite, has been since the day he signed for the Villa, but does he fit with the system? Is he quite what Dean Smith is looking for? It looks like not.
Kodja's not for me, I don't think. Not on the wing. Guys who sit behind us, actually, they're absolute bunch of tools. Slating Kodja for literally anything and everything he does. Like, someone loses the ball, Kodja's standing there, and it's like James Chester's made an interception. Why is Kodja not on the ball? And it's shocking. Like, some of the criticism this man gets. You know, people forget he kept us up in the first year, and you know, he's, as I say, he's a player with faults. Everyone is, and he infuriates me even at the best of times. But you know, I don't see him as a Dean Smith player.
Kodja is a player where if you can get him in the right system, we saw what can happen. Yeah. That Kodja in the first season was devastating. I absolutely loved him. The man, when he was on the pitch, was never 5 minutes away from a goal. Always looked like something could happen. He hasn't really been the same since his injury, I don't feel. Struggled to get back into things at the end of last season. I feel like the kind of his destiny was to come back, score the goal in the playoff final.
Yeah, it always seemed like that.
Yeah, nothing close to that happened, and he's struggled. And I think the arrival of Tammy has pushed him out into the wing, where he's not a natural. It really must be said. He almost tries to play as a striker, but out on the left.
He wants to have the freedom to go out wide, playing up front.
Yeah, that's it perfectly. He plays on the wing with the mindset of a striker, which doesn't really work in this system. But I don't think Adoma is necessarily all that suited to the system either. I feel like
controversial.
It is, yeah.
Well, not really. A lot of people hate Adoma. I never understand this.
I think I like Adoma, and I think he's a good player. Whether he's, as I said, I feel like he's a good player, but this is the thing. I feel like in all positions, Dean Smith's going to have an idea of, you know, what it looks like, what his perfect team looks like, and we've seen a big overhaul of the Villa squad in recent seasons. And I think we're due another one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Al Mohammadi and Adoma on the wings, because Smith demands work great, and Anwar El Ghazi, who's one who's rarely featured, and fans seem to be up in arms because he tweeted, "I was in the stands." You've got to understand that performance merits the starting place, and you know, when he did get his chance at Norwich, didn't impress me at all. I can't really see El Ghazi being in and around the squad too much this year. I wouldn't be bothered if possible to terminate the loan, because we can only have so many spots obviously open on a match day. I do feel sorry for, you know, the likes of him and and Moreira who've come here to play, and they're not, but they're not good enough.
I feel Anwar El Ghazi, when we signed him, the big thing was that he's a talent. He's got it coming,
Ajax. Yeah.
My point, you don't just come through Ajax if you're nobody. That is probably the best academy in the world. And so, he obviously has ability, and I think this was the big thing, is that he never really kick-started at Lille, and this was a chance for him to come to a league, prove himself. Hasn't quite worked out. I do feel sorry for him because I'd love him to succeed. I've seen videos, I've seen little clips of what he looks like at his best, and it's good. It's good. But this is another thing, is that there are so many players in this Villa team that I want to do well, that I'd like to do well, but I think you kind of just have to accept that it's not going to happen. And I think Balassi is another one that, quite what the situation is there, I'm not sure. It seems it's a strange one, because sometimes he comes on and really impresses me. I really like what he's got to offer. Other times he comes on and he doesn't seem like he cares
Swansea
at all. Exactly. He came on, and especially his work rate defensively was appalling. But again, he's a player that he gets on the ball and he's got end product. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because he's not in favour. I think when everyone joined, I think you pretty much would have put your bottom dollar on him being first team regular and nailing down that spot. It just hasn't happened.
It's funny because for me, Balassi has always been one of them players where you're on the edge of your seat watching, and maybe when you're watching on the telly for the likes of Palace and stuff, it's easy to notice the Balassi flicks and stuff like that. But as you say, work rate needs to improve. What I appreciate is how honest Dean Smith was about the Balassi situation, about him not being included in the team, speaking about it, because there would have been a timid Bruce response regarding that, or like, I'm the manager, it's my problem. I think there's still a player in Balassi. We will be seeing a fair bit of Al Mohammadi and Adoma this year.
Yeah, I think this is what I was saying, is that they're both plus 30, him and Adoma, and that could be one of the reasons why they're looking slightly closer to the outdoor than they were last season. But there's a lot of players, a lot of attacking talent in this Villa team, and I think right from when we first established this squad in the transfer window, this is one of the things we all said, is that we've got a wealth of attacking talent.
We're going to devastate teams with this talent.
Well, that's the thing, that you haven't seen it come into play, and this brings it back right to what I said at the start, is that with Dean Smith, I feel like this is going to take off at some point. All those attacking players in the right system, I don't even dream what the outcome of that could look like. But we're not there yet. It's a work in progress. And I think what gave me real confidence is the fact that he called the Bolton performance a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Bruce would have glossed that over.
Exactly.
Masterclass.
He's Mourinho, who would have been on the pitch. Yeah. But this is that's exactly what you want to be hearing. I feel like everyone can look at that. It's there, but it can definitely be taken further. And I think this run of games is what matters at the end of the season. I think this stretch up until Boxing Day, we've pretty much got the top 10 week in, week out, with the exception of some small team after Derby. And so, it's going to be. These are the games that really count, and I think come the end of the season, this stretch of games could be make or break.
This league is wide open. It really is, and I can't help but feel that the Championship is getting better and better each year, but this year it's so open.
I'm not convinced by Leeds.
No, I'm not either. I honestly think that on our day we can turn over Leeds.
100%.
Especially
without a doubt
at home.
Without a doubt. I
watching them the other night against Wigan. Wigan scored early on from a fantastic goal, but Leeds clawed their way back into it. But everyone was going on about how all your lad Bibles and stuff on Facebook saying this is why Leeds are top of the Championship, and they showed a clip of how 7 men all got back to defend the one. And do you know what Bielsa's done at Leeds is impressive, but they're not the best team in the Championship.
There's a long way to go yet, mate, and I think
they were top last year until Christmas.
Is my point. I think every single season now since we've been in the Championship, I've gone, I watch Leeds, they're going to be there about, and every single year they do a Leeds and crash, and there's a lot of games to be done yet, and this is a Derby or another team where it's a long game, but it's a young squad, and there's 46 games in this league, and whether they can go the distance remains to be seen. Middlesbrough are another one. There's so many teams up there that I'm yet to be. I think
Norwich.
Again, Norwich are a good team, but they look susceptible. I wasn't, when we played against them, I felt like they were there for the taking. That could have easily been our game.
At 2 mistakes from Allen.
Exactly. That's the thing, and that's like Wolves last season. No one really questioned. Everyone knew they were rightfully top of the league. They were the best team in the Championship
Until they came to Villa Park.
Asterisk. And I think there was a kind of unified, Wolves are the team. But this season, I think everyone, because Leeds play the attractive football, and as I say, everyone can get behind the 10-20 second clips on Twitter and everything of them knocking the ball around. And that's all very well and good, but there's still 89 minutes and 50 other seconds of that game that you haven't seen, and I haven't truly been convinced yet. Not like I was with Wolves, and so people are saying this season is a write-off, and I'm not going to say that just yet. I don't think. By no means am I obsessed with going up this year. I like the project, I like that we're building, but don't rule it out, because you only have to look at Fulham and how they got themselves right back into them, and they were nowhere near it in December. And then Mitro comes, and look where they are.
They really were a one-man team last year, but I was convinced, I don't know whether this was me just being bitter that Wolves had suddenly piped up, but I was convinced that Fulham were the team to beat last year until... Well, first of all, we beat them in the home leg anyway. Even in the away tie at the Cottage, I didn't think they were that convincing. We were very poor. Obviously, Sam Johnston gifted them that one. West Brom fans aren't seeming to like Johnston.
No, it's an intro. But I have to. I didn't really like Sam Johnston first season. And I think he certainly divides opinion, doesn't he?
He does. But I think it's hard to put. If you're a betting man, I don't think you'd want to bet on who's going to get promoted automatically in the Championship.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
I mean, Stoke. I've said it. Gary Wright's a fraud, but Stoke could come good.
That's the thing. I think there's a lot of teams in this league with potential, and they can certainly go places, and we fall into that category.
Yeah.
I think people will be talking about their respective clubs, and I feel like they'll be saying, but you have to watch Villa. There's every chance. We are one of those teams. Hasn't worked out so far, but there's a lot of games to play and a good January window, and we get a run together, and who knows what could be. And I think, but as I was saying, I think if we don't go up this season, I like that we're not rushing it, because we weren't ready for the Premier League in May. No way.
Just look at Fulham.
My point is
150 million spent on midfielders, didn't really invest in defenders, and they're trying to beat Man City at their own game. Naive is the word that springs to mind.
It is. Everyone was. Jokanovic was the best thing since sliced bread last year, and now people are saying he's one of the worst managers in the Premier League. It's interesting, and this is what I mean. I feel like everyone in the Championship is chomping at the bit to get the Premier League, and I actually quite like the idea of making sure that we've got a foundation, that we've got a fan base that is involved, that likes what's going on. There's a positive feeling around the club, which Steve Smith have certainly installed. And I think that if we're building for the future and it takes a season or two, then I'm all for that.
Definitely. I think before we wrap this up, we should come back to Derby, obviously the next obstacle. Could I get a prediction from you, Dan?
Oh, that's exactly what I did. I'll sit here, don't ask me to. The optimist inside me is saying that we'll get a hard-fought draw. But on the day, I think Derby are playing very well at the moment, and although I said it's a long season, I think they can potentially run into difficulties later on.
Yeah.
I feel like this game is going to be theirs. I do think we'll score. I think we'll put in a good performance, but I think we might lose 2-1.
My head says 3-1 Derby. My heart says a 1-1 draw for Villa. Obviously, I'd be delighted with 3 points, if possible, please. Yeah. But it's early, as you say. Derby could well easily slip up, and I think it's all a learning curve for Lampard and a lot of the players. They obviously got some very good young players in Mason Mount, who is everything that we really expect Jack Grealish to be, isn't he? In a lot of respects. But it will be a tough game. I'm looking forward to going, but I'm dreading the actual 90 minutes. and I'm sure we will have plenty to talk about in the run-up to the Blues game.
Certainly.
So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, obviously in a bit of a different form. Hopefully you'll be seeing this a bit more. Nice for them to see your face.
I know it. I'll start doing my hair a bit better. I've been constantly putting it in place.
We've come straight back from uni, it's fine. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Is there anything you'd like to add finally?
I don't think I've covered base. So up the Villa, mate.
Villa, mate, that's it.